Okay, everyone. So we will continue chapter 1. This is part 2. Organizations of the human body. So the human body consists of two main portions. The first one is called the axial portion, which is in the middle. Okay, so axial portion. That consists of the head, the neck, and the trunk of the body. And then the second portion is the appendicular portion, which consists of the upper limb and the lower limb. So these are the two main portions of human body. And then in this body, there is also space, what you call the cavity. There are two main body cavities. The first one is the body cavities that's located on the dorsal area of the body or the back area. So if it is the body, okay, so this is the front part, this is the back part, okay. So the dorsal body cavity is located in the dorsal area, which is actually the brain cavity or cranial cavity where the brain is located. And on the back, you will see the long cavity is called the vertebral canal or spinal canal. So both of these cavities, yeah, the cranial cavities and the vertebral canal is called as the dorsal body cavity. So this is the first cavity, okay, the first major cavity of human body. The second body cavity will be located in the ventral area, the front, which is actually going to be here. I'm going to use the yellow. Okay, here on the chest, okay, it's called the thoracic cavity. And in the belly, okay, or it is called the abdominopelvic cavity. So both of this one is considered as the ventral body cavities. Okay, it consists of thoracic cavity and abdominopelvic cavity. So thoracic, abdominal, pelvic cavity. Okay, so you can see this. Maybe this is a better picture. Okay, so this is cranial cavity, and this is vertebral canal. Both of them located in the dorsal area, so therefore both of them are dorsal body cavity. Okay. And then on the front or the ventral area, we have thoracic cavity and also abdominopelvic cavity. Both of them become the or part of the ventral body cavities. Okay, so between the thoracic cavity and abdominopelvic cavity, there is a muscle. That muscle used for breathing. That muscle is called the diaphragm. Okay. Now you see in the front, okay, from the front, the thoracic cavity actually it has three spaces, okay, or type of cavity. The first one, this one on the right side, is called the right pleural cavity. On the left one, there is a left pleural cavity. And these cavities are used by the lungs. So you have right lungs and left lungs located in this pleural cavity, so pleural cavity. In the middle, you see you have your heart, okay, on the chest. So this is actually located in cavity is called the mediastinum. So mediastinum is the subcavity of thoracic cavity where the heart is located. So this is M, mediastinum. Now, if you see the abdominopelvic cavity, this is actually the biggest cavities in our body. It has two areas. Okay, the top one is called the abdominal cavity. Okay, over here where your liver, stomach, intestines, they located there. Okay, and then the bottom part, there is cavity is called the pelvic cavity, where the bladder located. Okay, so therefore, okay, the name of this cavity is actually abdominopelvic cavity because it consists of abdominal cavity and pelvic cavity. Now, there is also some small cavities in the face. For example, so we have, of course, on the head, we have the biggest one, cranial cavity, where the brain's located. And this cavity is also part of the dorsal body cavity. So this is cranial cavity. Okay, and then in the front, okay, in the face, we have several cavities. Small cavity is called the sinuses. Okay, so sinuses over here that consists of frontal sinuses, uh, maxillary sinuses. Okay, and then also sphenoid and ethmoid sinuses. So this is the one that usually inflame when we have the bacterial infection. It's called the sinus. You have sinus, yes. Okay, so that's the actual where the bacteria infections located in the sinuses. And there is also oral cavity. Okay, so oral cavity, the mouth cavity over here. Okay, and then nasal cavity, okay, which is for air breathing, and the orbital cavity where the eyes are located. Okay, so there are smaller cavities in the head. Okay, now the membranes that protects the dorsal body cavity, which is the cranial cavity and the vertebral canal, is called the meninges. So it has special name. It's called the meninges. So this meninges has three layer, okay, which is pia meter. This is the inner layer that attach directly to the soft organs in it. So attached to the brain and also to the spinal cord. That's the pia meter. The second one is called the arachnoid layer, the middle layer. And the outside layer is called the dura mater. And this dura mater is the layer that actually attaches to the cavity, okay, to the cavity, usually to the bones. Okay, like for example, if it is the cranial cavity, then this dura mater is actually the one that attaches to the cranium, the skull head bone. Okay, and between the diameter and the arachnoid layer, there is a space that has liquid in it. Okay, that liquid is called the CSF, cerebrospinal fluid. Okay, it's located between arachnoid and pia mater. Yeah, this liquid is very important to protect the brain and the spinal cord, and also to carry the bring the nutrients to the brain and the spinal cord. Now, for the thoracic and abdominal pelvic cavity, we already mentioned about some smaller spaces. Okay, like for example, in the thoracic cavity is divided into three smaller cavities: right pleural, left pleural, and mediastinum. The pleural cavities are the place for the lungs, and the mediastinum is the space that is filled with the heart. While the abdominal pelvic cavity is consists of abdominal cavity where the stomach, liver, intestine located, and the pelvic cavity mostly where the rectum and urinary bladder located. For the membranes that protect the thoracic and abdominal pelvic cavity, the name is called the serous membrane. Okay, so serous membrane. It only has two layers. So if you compare with the cranial cavity and the spinal canal, their membrane is called the meninges. As a meninges. Sometimes you heard that people have meningitis. That's actually inflammation in the inflammation in the meninges, which is the layer that protect the brain and the spinal cord. Right, so meninges has three layers: pia mater, arachnoid, and the dura mater. While for the thoracic and abdominal pelvic cavity, the membrane is called the serous membrane. It has only two layers, which is visceral layer. Okay, visceral means soft. So this is the layer that attaches directly to the soft organ inside that cavity. For example, visceral layer will attach to the lung, to the heart, to the intestine, stomach, liver, pancreas, and etc. So that's the visceral layer. The second layer is called the parietal layer, which is the layer that attaches to the bones of that cavity. Okay, if it is in the thoracic cavity, the parietal layer will be the layer that attaches to the ribs, okay, rib cage. Okay, so if it is in the abdominal pelvic cavity, that layer actually attached on the backbone on the back, and the front is actually attached to the muscle and skins on the abdominal area. Okay, so again, visceral layer are the one that attach directly to the soft organs like the lungs, the heart, the intestines, pancreas, and so on. Okay, if you see this picture, there are two layers of this serous membrane. Okay, so this parietal layer over here is the one that attaches to the bone. Okay, which is in this case, this is the rib. Okay, the rib cage, or on the back. Okay, to the backbone over here. While the uh, visceral layer, okay, visceral layer over here is the one that attaches directly to the soft organ. In this case, in the lung. Therefore, it's called the visceral pleura because it's attached to the lung. Okay, so this is in the abdominal pelvic cavity, the parietal layer, okay, which is outside layer, and then the visceral layer, which is the inside layer of that attached directly to the soft organ. This one is liver, so attached to the liver. This one is stomach, to this visceral stomach over here, attached directly to the stomach. Now, organ system. Okay. So there are 11 organ system in human body. Okay, 11 organ system. So this is the first one is the integumentary system, then skeletal system, muscular system, nervous system, endocrine system, cardiovascular system, lymphatic system, digestive system, uh, respiratory system, urinary system, and reproductive system. So there are 11 organ systems in human body. We will learn this system, all of them, in this class and also on the next class, Bio 130. For the one that take Bio 135, you're going to learn all of this system in one course. Okay, so what is system? System is the organization of organs. So several organs that have or perform similar functions will organize together to make this organ system. Okay. The easy example, maybe we're gonna use the digestive system over here, okay, because you are familiar with the organs of this digestive system. Yeah, it consists of the mouth, the tongue, the teeth, salivary gland, pharynx, esophagus, stomach, liver, gallbladder, pancreas, small and large intestine, and then also rectum, okay, anus. So these are the system. These are the organs that make the digestive system. So mouth is one organ, tongue is one organ, and etc. That's what we call the system. System consists of organ that has the same function to perform one function. Like for example, the digestive system, all this organ is actually used for digestion, okay, to digest the food, to break down the organic molecules into smaller molecules that ready to be absorbed by the blood. Okay, that's the function of digestive system. So we see one by one over here. The integumentary system consists of organ called the skin, hair, nail, sweat gland, sebaceous gland or oil glands. What is the function? Mainly for protection, okay, protection of inside organ. Also regulate body temperature, support the sensory receptors. We have a lot of sensory receptors in our skin. So if somebody touch you, you're able to sense it because we have touch receptor in the skin. The second skeletal system consists of organs called the bones. There are 206 bones, 206 bones that make this skeletal system. Each bone has name. Okay, what is the function? The function is to provide the framework, protect the soft tissues, okay, provide attachment for muscle for movement, produce blood cell, and also store some inorganic salts like calcium. Okay, so that's the skeletal system. The muscular system consists of organs called muscle. There are 700 muscles in our body, and each muscle has name. Like for example, you have biceps, you have triceps, and etc. So that muscle, okay, that bicep, tricep is one muscle. So 700 muscle that will make this muscular system. What is the function? Is to for movement, okay, maintain body posture, and also produce body heat. The next one is called the nervous system. It consists of three main organs, which is the brain, spinal cord, and the nerves. Okay, so these are the organs that make up the nervous system. What is the function of nervous system? To detect changes, receive and interpret sensory information, and stimulate muscle movement and also gland production. Right, so that's the nervous system. The next one, number 5, is endocrine system. It consists of organs called the gland, endocrine gland. There are more than 100 endocrine glands in our body. For example, pituitary gland, thyroid glands, pineal gland, and etc. And this gland, all of them has a function to control metabolic activities. Okay? And then the next one is called the cardiovascular system. And the name is telling you there are two organs over here. Okay? It's called the cardiovascular. Cardio means the heart. Okay? So that's the first organ. Vascular means blood vessel, which consists of arteries, capillaries, vein. The all is actually called the blood vessel. So only two organs for this cardiovascular system, the heart and the blood vessel. What is the function? The function is for circulation, to transport nutrients, substances, hormones throughout the body, okay, to all the tissues in our body. The next one is lymphatic system, consists of lymphatic vessel, lymphatic organs like thymus, spleen, lymph nodes. Okay, so this all is called the lymphatic organ, and the lymphatic vessel. And the function of this lymphatic system is to return tissue fluid to blood, carry certain absorbed food like the oil and fat will be carried by the lymphatic system. And the main function over here is for protection against disease or infection. The next one is digestive system. We already mentioned about this. Okay, the organ, mouth, tongues, teeth, stomach, and etc. And the main function is to digest the food into smaller nutrients that can be absorbed. The next one is called the respiratory system. Okay, this is respiration. Of course, the organ will be the nose, okay, nasal cavity, pharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchi, and the lungs. And what is the function? This is the main function is actually for exchanging the oxygen and carbon dioxide. We need the oxygen for making ATP inside our cell. And then we have to remove the carbon dioxide from our body. Therefore, this respiratory system perform this function, exchanging oxygen and carbon dioxide. The next one is urinary system. This is production of urine. Urine is actually waste products of the blood. So when the blood perform things, carry things, it's become dirty, a lot of waste products in it, it has to be removed. But before it's removed, it has to be filtered. Okay, so the urinary system give this function to filter the blood and produce the waste product is called the urine. Which organ perform that? Of course, the kidney. So kidney is the one that filter our blood. And then the urine will go to the ureter, save it or store it for a while in urinary bladder, and finally excrete it out using the urethra. So these are the organ of the urinary system. And the last one is reproductive system. For the reproductive system, it will be divided into two types. Because for the reproduction, human need male and female. So therefore, there are two types of reproduction, which is male reproduction and female reproduction. So the organs will be different for male, okay? Gonna be testis, scrotum, epididymis, penis, and etc. So that's the male reproductive organs. And then the female reproductive organs will be like ovary, right? Uterine tube, uterus, vagina, clitoris, vulva, and etc. And what is the function of these two different reproductive organs? It is for producing the new individual, which is babies, okay, or human. So this is the main function of the reproductive system. So these are all the 11 systems in human Okay, so we already mentioned this. So the first one, integumentary system consists of skin and some accessory organs like oil gland, sweat gland. Skeletal system is consists of 206 bones. Eh, we will learn this bone by name later on the next chapter. And then muscular system is consists of at least 700 muscles. Eh, and then you can see this integumentary system, skeletal system, muscular system, nervous system. Consists of three main organs: the brain, okay, brain, spinal cord, and the nerve. These are the three main organs of nervous system. Endocrine system consists of organs called the endocrine glands, okay, such as thymus gland, thyroid glands. Okay, so this is nervous system. This is gland, so it's gonna be nervous endocrine system. This is also endocrine. Oh, this is reproductive system. Endocrine system is together over there. Okay. In cardiovascular system, yeah, lymphatic system, cardiovascular system consists only two organs: the heart, okay, and the blood vessel. Lymphatic system consists of lymphatic organs such as uh, thymus gland, uh, red bone marrow. Yes, this is cardiovascular system. This is the lymphatic system. So you have spleen over here. Okay, thymus gland. Digestive system, right, consists of mouth, throat, esophagus, stomach, intestine, and etc. And then respiratory system consists of the nose, okay, pharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchus, bronchi, bronchioles, and the lungs. And then urinary system, okay, this is consists of kidney, ureters, urinary bladder, urethra. Okay, so this is digestive system, respiratory system. This is urinary system. Reproductive system for male and female is going to be different organs. Okay, this is the male reproductive system, consists of testicles, epididymis, ejaculatory duct, penis, and etc. For female, consists of ovary, so there are two ovary, okay, and then the uterine tube, the uterus, vagina, and so on. Okay, so we will learn that system one by one later in each different chapter. Now humans, yeah, so their life changings, okay, starting from baby until old age. So there will be some changes during the development. Okay, usually aging occurs from the microscopic side and also from the uh, bigger side from outside. So you can see, like for example, changing in the hair loss, skin become wrinkles, the skin is uh, lost the stiffness, maybe the fat increase, okay, joint become stiffness, so it's going to be difficult to move, more difficult to move when we are older. And then sometimes the blood pressure increase, the glucose also increase in the blood, tissue atrophy, okay, that muscle atrophy, for example, becomes smaller. Uh, Cell reach end of the ability to undergo the cell division. Metabolic rate may be decreased, okay, less active than younger age, and decrease the production of enzymes, and sometimes the brains or the nervous system also affected. Some other people have dementia or Alzheimer disease. So this is some maybe changes that we can observe when human or people get older. Okay, the next one is about the anatomical position and terminology. Okay, what is anatomical position? This is the position that used by the doctor, right, or medical staff to observe body structure. So this is the standard positions. Okay, it's going to be used in America on other countries. They're going to use the same standard of position. It's called the anatomical position. So how it's done? So the patient will face forward. Okay, so standing erect, facing forward, the upper limbs at the side, the palms, this is very important, palm facing forward. Okay, so the palm over here facing forward. Then, all the medical staff or doctor or nurse will be able to say, let's say this is the front part, this is the back part, this is the side part, okay, lateral, upper, lower, and etc. Okay, based on the same standard body position. Okay, so based on this standard body position, then we can put several name or terminology. If it is based on the uh, positions, like for example, where is the middle part? Okay, so the midline over here, okay, the midline, so it's going to be the middle or medial. So any organs that located in the middle is called the medial organ, or organ that is located in the middle part of our body. So there is a left, right. So this called the lateral side. So the medial and then lateral. Okay. So this is the two terminology. Medial mean go to the middle part of the body. Lateral is organ that may be located on the side of the body. And then top and bottom. Okay, top and bottom. And the top is called the superior. Bottoms will be inferior. Okay, like for example, if you compare between the head and the leg, okay, the head will be superior to the leg, for example. And then anterior mean on the front, also known as ventral, and posterior or dorsal is on the back. Okay, so you can see that our S is on the ventral area, our abdomen is in the ventral area. Okay, and our buttock, for example, is in the dorsal area. Proximal and distal, okay, proximal and distal, this is located to based on the attachment site. Okay, look at this upper limb. Okay, the hand and the arm. The upper arms over here compared to the wrist, for example. So the wrist will be distal because away from the attachment side, while the elbow, okay, if we compare elbow and the wrist, elbow will be proximal to the attachment side. Okay, so the same thing with the lower limb, the legs. Okay, so the knee and the ankle, for example, if you want to compare it, then the knee will be proximal, the ankle will be distal. And so this is some terminology. Another terminology like ipsilateral and contralateral. Okay. Ipsilateral means located at the same side. What is example? Example is the here, okay, here the eyes, the ear, okay. So you see the right eyes over here and the right ear, they are ipsilateral because they are located on the same side, which is on the right side. Contralateral means the organs located on the opposite side. Like for example, the eyes, okay, the right eyes and the left eyes, they are contralateral because one on the right, the other one on the left side. And so that's for ipsilateral and the contralateral. So it compared two organs. On the section or planes, okay, so when we divide the body, okay, we can divide it whether become left side, right side, front side, back side, or top side, bottom side. Okay, so based on this, then we have three main planes or section. The first one is the sagittal section. So this is the section or the plane that divide the body into left and right. So if this is human body like this, okay, then the sagittal plane will be like this. Okay, the one that divide the body on into right and left side. The transverse or horizontal section or plane is the plane that divide the body into top and bottom. So it's going to be crossing the body over here. So top and bottom area. While the coronal or frontal section, we have to use this head over here like this. So this is the one that divide the body into front part and the back part. So this is the coronal section or frontal section. So these are the three main section or plane that divide human body into left, right, bottom, up, or front, back. Okay, so maybe this is one is easier to see. So if you this one see this, okay, this plane over here, okay. So this is the one that divide body to the top and bottom. So this is gonna be cross or transverse. Okay. Now look at this one. Boom. Okay. So this one is like a divide body into front and back. Okay. So front, back. So this one will be the frontal or coronal plane. Look at this one over here. Okay, so this one over here. So this one divide the body into left and right. Yeah, so this one, this planes will be the sagittal. Okay, sagittal plane. So for organ, for example, it's going to be the same. If you divide the organ into left and right, this one will be sagittal. Okay, sagittal plane. And this is top and bottom. So this one will be the cross or transverse plane. This one divide front and back. Right? So this one's going to be frontal section of the plane. Okay, that's the plane. So if you cut it, really cut it and see the result will be like this. Okay, so this is what we call the sagittal section because it is cut by the sagittal plane. This one is a transverse or cross section because it is cut using the cross or transverse plane. And this is going to be the frontal section because it is cut by the frontal plane. So plane, just just like an imaginary knife that cut the organs. Okay, for the cylindrical organs, we can also see the difference. This one is cutting in the middle, top and back, top and bottom. So this is gonna be cross or transverse. Eh? This is called the longitudinal section or plane. We cannot really tell whether it is frontal or the sagittal because it's just tube. Okay, and then there is another one over here that cut diagonally. It is called the oblique. This is oblique section. So any plane that cut organs into diagonal section is going to be called an oblique section. Okay, for the abdominal cavity, we know the abdominopelvic cavity, it is the biggest body cavity, so it has so many organs in it. So usually the scientists, okay, or doctor, medical doctor, they divide this cavity into what we call whether quadrant or region. So this one is region and this one is quadrant. Okay, so quadrant is only 4. So there are 4 quadrant. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? Region it has 9. Okay, you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 region. Quadrant is only 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so by dividing this into quadrants or regions, then the doctor will be able to pinpoint where is the location of certain organ. Like for example, liver. Okay, so this is liver over here. Liver, mostly located in the first quadrant. And the first quadrant called the right hypochondriac region. This is mostly liver located. And then over here, this is called the epigastric region, the second region, where mostly the stomach located. Okay, and this one, the third region, is called the left hypochondriac region. This is also where the stomach located. Then the right lateral region. Okay, and this is mostly the large intestine, especially the ascending part of the large intestine. The umbilical region, this is the middle region, and this is mostly the small intestine located. The left lateral region, this is also uh, small intestine and the large intestine, especially the descending part. And then the right inguinal region. This is where, like for example, appendix located. So that you see the appendix. So appendicitis will be uh, present in this area. Okay, and then pubic region. This is when the bladder, rectum will be located, and then left inguinal region. This is where the mostly the large intestine, especially the ascending parts, located. So this is how the doctor divided the abdominopelvic cavity into region to pinpoint the exact location of the organs. And then for the quadrant, it's easier, only four quadrants. The top one on the right is called the right upper quadrant. The top on the left is going to be left upper quadrant. And the bottom part is called the right lower quadrant and left lower quadrants. Okay. So like for example, liver will be located in the right upper quadrant. The appendix will be located in the right lower quadrant. Okay, so this uh, the division of abdominal pelvic cavity, whether in regions or quadrants. Okay, anterior and posterior region. So anterior means the front part. Sometimes it is also called as a ventral. Okay, so anterior is the same as a ventral region. Posterior is also known as a dorsal region or back. Okay, so this is front, this is back. If it's the front part, you have this chest, for examples, the genital area, okay, genital organs are going to be on the front. On the back, you see the buttock, for example, the back of the head, and etc. So these are organs that's located based on the area, whether in the ventral or dorsal area. I think that's all for chapter one. See you again on the next chapter. Bye bye.